My goodness, what an epic thriller we have witnessed in the first ODI between South Africa and Australia at Bloemfontein. Yes, breaking news, folks. In the most dramatic of circumstances, Australia have managed to beat South Africa by 3 wickets and take a 1-0 lead in the 5-match series. This continues Australia's winning streak in South Africa. Remember, they had won the 3 T20Is 3-0, and now digging deep in the most adverse of circumstances, South Africa just could not land the killer blow, and that is why Australia, in one of the most spirited responses, have pulled off an epic 3-wicket win against South Africa. This match had plenty of thrills, folks. It was one of the most anticipated ODIs that we could see, and it became one of the most surprising performances that we could see. So, what happened? South Africa were boosted to 222 thanks to a fantastic century from Temba Bavuma. Now remember, Temba Bavuma has often been criticized for not contributing much, but here he stepped up and put on one of the fine performances that you could see. 114 in a score of 222 was a testament to Temba Bavuma's greatness. Hazelwood was the star with 3 wickets, and that is why he ensured that South Africa could be restricted to a total under 230, 240. Remember, the Mangaung Oval in Bloemfontein was giving you a lot of assistance. The pacers had assistance, the spinners also had plenty of assistance. But then Australia had a terrible start. David Warner was out second ball to Marco Jansen, and there they slid to 108 for 7. Now, this was compounded by the fact that Cameron Green, their ace all-rounder, he got a concussion. He was hit on the side of the head by a vicious bouncer from Kagiso Rabada. And because of Cameron Green's injury, who became the concussion substitute? Marnus Labuschagne. Now, what a time for Marnus Labuschagne to step up and show that what Australia have done. Because remember, Labuschagne is not part of the ODI World Cup side. And in Steve Smith's absence, in the absence of a lot of superstars, Marnus Labuschagne had to fit into this ODI setup. Because, you know, the likes of Pat Cummins, the likes of Steve Smith, the likes of Glenn Maxwell, they all are sidelined. And because of that, Marnus Labuschagne had to come. Now, Labuschagne and Ashton Agar put on a brilliant 9th wicket stand of over 115. Now remember, 117 runs, and that too Marnus Labuschagne being the concussion substitute. It showed the depth that was there in the Australian batting. So what if you are 108 for 7? So what if you are a man down? You have one of the best players in the test match arena who's not done that much in ODIs. And that is why Labuschagne, in conditions which were adverse, he once again showed his brilliance. He and Ashton Agar, remember, this was Agar's highest score in ODI cricket. What a time to do it. 48 from Ashton Agar, Marnus Labuschagne's 80. And because of that, Australia managed to get through in what was a pulsating encounter in Bloemfontein. The scoring rate also held, because remember, the Australians were scoring at a quick rate, but Labuschagne was playing an absolute gem. At one point, his strike rate was just over 100. It remained between 90 and 100 for majority of the innings, which showed that he was under perfect control of the innings. And then after that, Ashton Agar, what a time for him to step up. Because remember, Agar often has had talent with the bat. 98, number 11 at Trent Bridge 2013. But since then, his batting has tapered off. But now he's come back. And now if you look at it, Australia have batting all the way until number 9. Add Steve Smith in it. Add Glenn Maxwell in it. Get Marnus Labuschagne as part of the 15-member squad. And boy, oh boy, this team looks like the team to beat in the World Cup. Remember, Australia have plenty of depth. The only team that potentially looks like challenging them is England. Now remember, even if Cummins also steps in, they potentially have batting until number 10. That is Australia's depth. And let me tell you one more thing. This win was very important for Australia's psyche. Because remember, against South Africa in the past 5 years, they have often struggled in against the Proteas. 11 ODIs, they had just won one, and that too by a very small margin of 7 runs. Prior to this in South Africa, they had lost 8 consecutive ODIs. This has broken the streak in a big, big way. So, South Africa will be feeling like, boy, how can we penetrate the depth of the Australian batting? Because remember, there are still 4 more innings. And what a situation when you have to look at Marnus Labuschagne and concussion substitutions. Remember, he became your first concussion substitute in the Ashes of 2019 when Steve Smith, one of their best batters, was felled down by a Jofra Archer bouncer. So Marnus Labuschagne came in as the concussion substitute, ensured that his test career got off to the greatest of starts, and he became the mainstay. Now, 4 years later, another concussion substitute, this time in an ODI, Marnus Labuschagne in the middle of a lean patch, also dumped from the World Cup. He now plays a match-winning knock for the ages. Now remember, the preliminary squad has been announced. Will Australia include Marnus Labuschagne? Because remember, you can make changes until the 28th of September. So, can Marnus Labuschagne get in? And remember, if all the other bowlers and all the other batters, say like Mitchell Starc, Steve Smith, Glenn Maxwell, Pat Cummins, if those 4 come back and all the others are in, my goodness, this Australian team is a team for the ages then. And remember, it will take something spectacular to stop them from winning a 6th World Cup title. But remember, there is a team that can do it, and that is England, the current kings of white ball cricket at this point in time. So, for people who are joining us now, breaking news, Marnus Labuschagne's 80 coming as a concussion substitute. His partnership of 117 with Ashton Agar, combined with Josh Hazlewood's 3 wickets, have ensured Australia have taken a 1-0 lead in the 5-match series with a 3-wicket win. Now, this is a major situation that is there. So, Australia will be hoping that they can continue the winning run, because remember, they are building up for the World Cup in a big way. They would want to ensure that the momentum is with them. So let us take a couple of comments. Satish B is like saying, Sid, Cummins and Starc also bat. Just to elaborate, 9 can bat, England all 11 can bat. These two teams are invincibles and favourites to win the World Cup. Satish B, I cannot disagree with that. I mean, look at the depth in Australia. I mean, England's depth is simply mind-boggling when it comes to ODI cricket. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, all 11 can bat, all 11 can chip in. It is a fantastic situation that in England and Australia face themselves in. So, and Naveen Pandit also, number 8 and number 9 matters in ODIs. Naveen, absolutely agree. But, just a small disclaimer. If you want to have depth in the batting, there has to be batters who can do that. In all the other teams, that is necessarily not the case. In the case of Pakistan, it isn't. In the case of India, it is. They are still trying to find out the balance. So that is why very dodgy situation at this time. So Indian football almost beat Iraq. Sandeep Kumar, you can check out that video that we did. Iraq just managed to scrape through on penalties, although that was a real penalty for Zakaria. I live in Amsterdam. Can Netherlands beat England and in the World Cup? Well, Zakaria, your optimism is not misplaced. I mean, they have beaten England twice in the T20 World Cup, 2009 and 2014. And that too, 2009 was a thriller, 2014 was a rather convincing win that Netherlands had. But Netherlands in an ODI World Cup at this point, remember, they almost came close to conceding 500 against England. So, it's a rather dodgy situation when you look at Netherlands and England. So, will Vasudha Bihapurkar saying, will Australia overcome Pakistan now in ODI rankings? Maybe. I mean, by the end of it all depends after the end of a series. After the end of a series, maybe you can have a certified number 1 at the top. At this time, yes, Pakistan have thoroughly deserved it. Maybe Australia can go up. So let's see how that happens. Nofil Zak is saying, Labuschagne is concussion, sir. We have seen that before. Absolutely, Nofil. 2019 Lords and now 2023 Bloemfontein. Need we say anything more? And Vasudha is saying, if Cummins and Starc batting, and I mean, yes, if they come in, that depth is simply staggering if you look at it. Then Vasudha is also adding, but Labuschagne badly fails in subcontinent, so he didn't take him for World Cup. You're right, Vasudha. I mean, it's rather surprising why Marnus Labuschagne, who's so technically assured, fails in the subcontinent far more often. Maybe he has a solid Achilles heel against spin. So maybe that is the reason why, you're right, maybe Australia did not want to do it. Siddharth Das is saying the never say die attitude and clear intentions of winning World Cup. Absolutely. I mean, Australia have made their intentions clear, folks. They are really building up to ensure that they win the World Cup. But the main question is, will they peak too early? Have they peaked too early? That is the thing that we have to explore here at this point. So, yes, indeed, a champion team indeed. And Parag, imagine player Manas is out of the World Cup. But then, as a lot of our family members have stated, Parag, maybe his weakness in the subcontinent has gone against him. And that's why, although he did well in Sri Lanka, but against India, he's often struggled. So, that is the current situation that we have. Australia versus South Africa, an absolute classic at Bloemfontein. They have won by a margin of 3 wickets and have taken a 1-0 lead in the series. The next ODI is in a couple of days. I mean, remember, you're also going to see some games that will be held in Centurion, in Johannesburg. So let's see how Australia progress. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on Sports Today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Thank you.